Hello and welcome to What's Next. It's the Indy NXT Road Series here from SUZUKA Circuit here in Japan. We are back once again for another international round here in the Indy NXT Road Series for a repeat visit here for the first time to SUZUKA, a track we just saw last weekend play host to the Japanese Grand Prix. Playing host to that Grand Prix for longer than some of the competitors tonight have been alive. Sophie, what are we in for here from a very tricky track here in Japan?
Well, SUZUKA is a very fast and technical track with some fearsome corners. The feared 130R, the technically demanding spoon curve, and of course, unlike the race that happened this past weekend, you don't have to worry about any chipping, any battery recharging. It's just pure internal combustion engine magic from the Dallara IL-15, aka the Indy NXT.
Well, some absolute internal combustion engine purists might think we're cheating with the turbochargers on these four-cylinder engines on the Indy NXT machines, but nonetheless, we've got nothing but mechanical power pushing these machines forward. Of course, we got the likes of the push-to-pass system as well, giving drivers a bit of extra oomph. 50 horsepower on top of the base 450 here. That'll play a factor here at SUZUKA, especially with those long straightaways you get with the likes heading down towards 130Rs. We're outboard with Andre Castro on his warm-up lap heading down that straight right now. Flat out through that iconic left-hand corner as he heads down towards the final chicane and gets ready to go for his first of two qualifying laps here tonight. Driver of our number one machine, no stranger to Indy NXT Road Series competition, likely no stranger to the likes of SUZUKA here, so we'll ride on board with him as he heads down towards turn number one here for his first of two qualifying laps. High commitment turn number one here, Sophie.
Yeah, this corner is so tricky because you need to slow the car down, but not too much, because ultimately right there is that tight turn two. It just decreases the radius, and then you have this fast sweeping S section that loops up past where when NASCAR visited, they would turn off for the East Short course. So big, massive flowing section here. And then there's another high commitment, sharp 90-degree corner that Castro is about to pass through right now. And then they head into the hairpin section.
Yeah, that second right-hander I found to be one of the trickiest corners to get through here. And this hairpin, got to back this thing way up, get the braking done in a perfect straight line. Castro will get it tucked down to the bottom here, get on the power as quick as he possibly can as he head down towards that iconic spoon curve. Once we get past the motorcycle chicane here, work our way around this very large gradual bend here, and here we are heading towards spoon.
Yes, and what makes spoon so special is just how the radius changes, how the track kind of slopes down a little bit, falls away from you, and you need to get a good run here because it leads onto this long back straightaway again that passes over the track and then onto 180R. Or sorry, 130R.
And there goes Castro through 130R. Not but any lifting going on there. He'll work his way into the chicane here, grab that curb on the right, grab a little bit of the curb on the left, gets set up onto the last curb on the right here. He'll head across the line, struggling a little bit there to get the power down. He'll motor across the line here, set a lap. 146.731 for the driver, the number one. He's the first car to get a time in. We'll see if anybody's able to best him this evening. Jake King setting a 147.509. It's the closest challenger so far. Rafael Lippi, he chimes in with a 147.174. Number of drivers getting their times in, the likes of Giovanni Blackerby, Alex Miller, Frank Wynn, Chris Wetz. And we've got ourselves quite the cast of characters working our way through the rest of the field. You got the likes of Conrad Hughes. He sits in 14th as it stands as we continue to ride with Castro. Ty Keeler from Rogue Racing in the 8th spot as it stands. 148.276. Certainly going to be interesting to see how this race progresses. Obviously, this was a track we've seen before, but there was a little bit of moisture on it the last time we were here, alongside the much greater push-to-pass volume, which kept it much more frantic, if you will, down those long straightaways as drivers were able to kind of slingshot by each other heading towards 130R with relative ease. when that system was available to them.
Yes, and a thing I want to note here, Jacob, so the track temperature is around 33, 34 degrees Celsius. That's going to be in the high 90s, so not too scorching. But the track has a lot of rubber, as we see Andre Castro now working his way into the chicane, an area where we're going to need a lot of mechanical grip. And really, in iRacing, just the way the model works, and the track's rubbered in, it often has less grip, which is not what you'd be expecting. So that's going to be an interesting challenge for some of these drivers to have to navigate, is the fact that this track is a little greasy right now.
Yeah, Castro will go slower that time by with a 147.016. We take a quick look at that weather condition here. 67 in the air, 91 on the track, 10-mile-an-hour south wind, about 75% humidity, with some clouds in the air. Not expecting rain this week. That'll be reserved for our first of 2 rain rounds this season as we proceed to Portimao next week in the Portugal, right along the ocean, if I'm not mistaken, or close to it. That'll be quite the track. It's kind of a hillier Catalunya that we've seen in seasons gone by in this series, so that'll be an interesting event. So we continue through qualifying here. Number of cars still left to take time. The likes of Dennis Hora, William Little, and Jason Prexier. Prexier setting a time good enough for 13th. See if a couple other drivers get a time in here. So we continue to the last minute or so here in qualifying. Of course, this track's played host to a number of iconic finishes, iconic championship deciders with the likes of Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost. Their incidents over the 2 years back-to-back, I believe, between those two drivers going down into turn number 1. And, of course, that final chicane playing host to one of those as well.
Yes, and not only that, it's been host to some incredible drives like Kimi Räikkönen's famous drive from the back. Also, the shocking title decider that got Mika Hakkinen his first world championship happened here when Schumacher had a tire failure. And of course, several title deciders came down to Suzuka here in or in Formula One. Not here in Formula One. This is in Formula One. But here at Suzuka, very historic track, deep roots in Japanese motorsports with Super GT and Formula Nippon. So excellent track, excellent layout, and we're in for a treat as qualifying ticks to a close, Jacob.
Yeah, 21 cars have taken time in our 23 or 4 car field. 23 it looks like. So we got a couple cars not getting a time in this evening, but we'll get through each and every one of them nonetheless. As we get towards the starting lineup, we'll wait for a couple cars to hit the grid and make sure that everybody gets their just dessert here. 12 laps on offer here from Suzuka. Relatively quick one. Will be a little under kind of the 25-minute mark that we typically expect here in Indy NXT Road Series competition, and we'll start running through that starting lineup as cars get to the grid here. So it will be Andre Castro on the pole with the iconic black Guinness machine, 146.731, the only driver to make it into the 146-second bracket here this evening. Starting alongside him will be none other than previous race winner Rafael Lippi. He's back again, starting on the front row in the number 2. Aiden Kale will line up third in the number 8 alongside Jake King in car number 3. Jacob Oboslack, we've seen him before. He's back here again. He'll line up 5th alongside Giovanni Blackerby in that Penske-inspired livery for his number 7 machine. Frisky Frank Wynn will line up 7th in the number 4 alongside Alex Miller in the 8th spot. William Little will line up 9th alongside Rogue Racing's Ty Keela in 10th, who wields the number 9 car this evening. Chris Wetz will start 11th alongside Luis Vasquez, and I believe this is going to be the Haas livery of present day, or one of the more recent ones. We've got Rayun Shan in 13th spot, piloting the 18. Jason Prexier in 14th. Weston Wilson will line up 15th alongside Alejandro Uribe in the 16th spot. Justin Wills will line up 17th alongside Wayne Campbell in the 18th spot. Conrad Hughes, Gage Baum will round out the top 20. And then we've got four cars rather to go. We've got a full 24-car grid here this evening. Michael Rosak will line up 21st. Georgie Tripsick in 22nd. The first car not to get a time in, Dennis Hora and Matthew Stables will round out the 24-car field in the all-black number 23 machine from Suzuka. We'll hop back up to the front of the field as we get rolling here. Slightly abbreviated pace lap here from Suzuka as we're starting from kind of within the S section, or sorry, rather from Spoon Curve. So we head around Spoon Curve here, work our way down the hill towards 130R.
Yes, it's a very abbreviated pace lap here. Not a lot of chance to get any little bit of heat in your tires. We see the cars weaving and scrubbing to get some heat into these tires because everything coming up in that first sector, a lot of high downforce, high commitment corners, Jacob. So if you struggle to drive the car on cold tires, you might find yourself losing positions rather quickly. And it's a difficult track to pass on, Jacob. There's not a lot of great opportunities to pass here at Suzuka. It's just it's a driver's track, and we'll see which driver is best at navigating it as the field works their way towards the start-finish line under the control of, right now, the iRacing Porsche 911, but soon to be Andre Castro in that Guinness liveried machine.
A track that has forged many a champion. It'll forge another race winner here tonight in the Indy NXT Road Series. Pace car is off. We're heading off the final corner. Fielding control of Andre Castro on the inside lane there. He'll get underway, and we're ready to go from Suzuka.
And Castro gets a good launch. Green flag is in the air. Leapy under fire from, I believe that is Jake King.
Oh, Leapy's around.
Contact! Leapy is around. Several cars are around in the back.
Leapy involved in this one.
Chaos. All kinds of chaos here in the back.
We'll hop back to the front and try to catch that once these drivers make it through the S section of the course here. See what happened to Rafael Leapy to get him sideways and ultimately involved in that later incident. So here's Castro still at the point. He's got about 8/10 over Jake King in the second spot, and then Giovanni Blackerby holding on to third. Let's hop back to Rafael Leapy rather. See what happened to him. Ride from the outboard.
It looks like some netcode contact, and then as there's just a separate incident than the netcode incident where it looks like Frank DeWin kind of gets stacked up, taps William Little, and that causes a big stack up. Further, Chris Wetz and then Vasquez get into each other, and that collects Leapy.
Yeah, Leapy goes around kind of on his own. Might have been netcode contact between himself and either Jake King or the 8 of Aiden Kale. That sounds him out into the runoff, and then you've got kind of the 10 going into the 14. That's going to be Luis Vasquez in the 14, Chris Wetz in the 10, and then you've got a number of other cars. I think it's just those three that end up off the track there. Untimely starts for them. Oh, you've got the 21 of Weston Wilson, the 13 as well of Alejandro Uribe. Number of cars opening corner calamity. We'll work our way back up to the front of the field here. Andre Castro leads Jake King. Aiden Kale has made a 5. Giovanni Blackerby for third. That's the hottest battle on track as it's third, fourth, and fifth as Alexander Miller's at the tail end of this train.
Yeah, several cars ran into trouble early. Besides that incident, Jacob Oberslack had an issue in 130R, spun, tumbled all the way down the order. So right now, it's Andre Castro, Jake King, Aiden Kale, and then, of course, that train with Giovanni Blackerby and Alex Miller, and then Ty Keela not too far behind, along with Frisky Frankie, who I believe might be streaming right now, Jacob, but you should go to his stream. Stay right here on P1 Broadcasting.
Well, we'll certainly give him a shout-out nonetheless, as he's been turning out for a good number of these weeks here, particularly in the Road Series here for these broadcasts. We'll thank him for supporting the series nonetheless. Alexander Miller, though, he's looking for a move as they head towards Spoon Curve between himself and Giovanni Blackerby. Blackerby will get the inside here.
Yeah, Blackerby defends the position successfully, but has Miller in that pan pride flag colored car right under his gearbox. Has the run going to be going into 130R on the outside. Shades of Alonso and Schumacher here.
Ooh!
And they touch! Oh, they touch! Miller is around! Miller is around!
And Miller will go around.
And he is in the wall.
Yeah, he dropped the left front wheel on that car right as they made contact. That's going to be night done for the driver of the 5 machine. Tough break for him as he was looking to put on a solid run. We move back to that battle now between Ty Keela and Frank Wynn. That's going to become the battle for 5th here. Closest thing on track is Andre Castro will go purple with a 146.921.
Yeah, that was a brave maneuver from Alex Miller there. Failing to remember the Alonso quote about that maneuver, which was that Alonso said he knew Schumacher would back out because Schumacher had a wife and kids. Well, Giovanni is a kid. They're a little more brave. So, unfortunate, tough break for Alex Miller there.
Yeah, and Frank Wynn's kind of caught the back of Ty Keela through the opening sector, that S section. They're working their way towards the hairpin now. This will kind of be the opportunity for Frankie to close in and maybe set up a move heading down towards Spoon.
Yes, and Andre Castro up at the front has set the fastest lap of the race with a 1:46.9, streaking away from Jake King. Castro's last lap was almost a full second faster than Jake King's best lap.
Yeah, one thing to kind of point out is Aiden Cale that last time by was 0.6 faster than Jake King. He runs along in third, about 0.7 adrift of the driver of the number 3 machine. We'll get to the gaps now so we can get a better idea of how people are closing in on each other. And that gap's starting to fall as we work our way on to lap number 3.
Yes, right now the hottest battle on track is Ty Keela versus Frisky Frankie, the Canadian versus the American here. Ty Keela currently has the 5th place spot. Frank DeWin wants it. DeWin got a worse run off that corner, but it's still hanging tough off Ty Keela.
Yeah, they remain kind of a 3-stack here, 4th on back between Blackerby, Keela, and Wynn. If we jump back a little further, we'll get to Conrad Hughes, who leads Georgie Tripsick and Dennis Hora for the tail end of the top 10 here. And then you've kind of got another group of cars with the likes of Matthew Stables, Michael Rosak, Gage Baum, and Chris Wetz, who was involved in that initial incident. He's in the hunt here, missing a front wing for 15th. We'll give him his due. He's been able to hold on to that IL-15 relatively okay considering the damage on it. And we'll move back to that battle for 9th and 10th as Tripsick and Hora trail Hughes. Working lap 4 now.
Yes, and it looks like the gap from 2nd to 3rd is closing once more, with Jake King setting his fastest lap of the race of 1:47.8. However, Aiden Cale in 3rd, set a 1:47.3. So he is rapidly approaching Jake King's position. And it won't be long as he is now right on the gearbox as they come out of the chicane. More than likely, Cale on the button, trying to make something happen into turn number 1. That's probably one of the better passing opportunities on the track, Jacob. But just not quite there. And so he'll have to stay glued to the rear end of that Indy NXT machine.
Yeah, the big thing with that turn 1 is you've kind of got to be alongside before the corner with how tight you've got to hug that first corner and then make it to the second one. It's very much one of those double apexes, if you will, kind of have to curve all the way around them. As Cale continues to trail King, we've got Alex Miller chiming into the chat. Not exactly the happiest with Giovanni Blackerby's driving tonight.
They round the hairpin here. Jake gets alongside, or has Aiden alongside him. Couldn't quite get the power down to Aiden, but now right on the gearbox there. Tries to find the inside, couldn't quite get it. They cover it off. Weaving which way and that way, trying to hold off Aiden Cole is Jake King. Not sure how to feel about that defending there, Jacob, but ultimately Aiden King setting him up once again down the back straight. Will he try the move that Alex Miller tried on Giovanni Blackerby? He's alongside in a 180R, 130R.
He hangs
They come
tough.
through it. He hangs tough into the braking zone. He's going to have the inside line. Gets it done. Doesn't run wide. Textbook move from Aiden Cole. What a move.
Yeah, hung tough on the outside. Both drivers on the push to pass heading towards 130R. He hangs the outside, gets to the inside for that final chicane, gets through the braking zone, takes the spot, but King's not letting him go away.
No, he is not. As he gets a little twitch there on exit, the head through the S's. As another fight to note that again, you can throw position from position 4 to 6 under a blanket with Frisky Frankie, Ty Keela, and Giovanni Blackerby all very close together. As Jake King now starts to fall slightly off the back of Aiden Kale.
And here comes Blackerby through the first of those two right-handers to get towards the hairpin. We'll move back. We'll move back to the battle for 8th and 9th as Georgie Tripsick stayed on the back of Conrad Hughes the bulk of this race so far. He'll work through those right-handers. We just saw Blackerby and company roll on through, and they'll head towards the hairpin. Tripsick putting up a solid run in that 15 machine, running along in 9th. Conrad Hughes in the 22, he runs along in 8th. Certainly punching well above his weight tonight with the likes of Ruan Shan in the 18 ahead of him in 7th.
Oh! Yeah, and believe Shannon, as you spoke, spun. But quick shout out to Conrad Hughes. Conrad Hughes started 19th on the field. And he has made his way through the chaos and misfortune for everyone else, has managed to keep it on the road and to run it at a decent clip to come into where he is currently running solidly in the top 10.
That was, I believe that was going to be Dennis Hora going around through the hairpin there. He rejoined safely. Cars managed to be able to get around him. He kind of was parked on the inside of the track. So good awareness on his part to get back in the going. He'll run along in 16th in the 17 car. So we continue to watch Conrad Hughes.
Ty Keela is currently making a move on Giovanni Blackerby around the outside into turn number 1. Blackerby defended very aggressively. Blackerby's around! Blackerby's around off the nose of Ty Keela.
That was a very close set of action there, and Blackerby's going to get the worst of it. He'll go around. Not sure if he's got damage on that IL-15. It looked like Ty Keela got the forgiveness. We'll see if Blackerby's able to get back rolling here at speed. Let's try to catch this one back now and see what exactly happened through the opening corner there.
Yes, and Ty Keela does have scuffs on his nose cone that will, even though it just looks like some paint and cosmetic, iRacing does hinder your downforce a little bit. Frank Nguyen has pulled out a bit of a gap from that incident now on Ty Keela. So the big beneficiary of that was Frisky Frankie. The big loser in that obviously was Giovanni Blackerby.
Yeah, it looks like Blackerby just wound up on the nose cone of Ty Keela, and around he'll go. And then we'll work our way back to live timing here, or live camera feed rather, as Jake King is only a half-second adrift of Aiden Kale. Of course, Kale made that power move on the outside of 130R just a couple laps ago. Andre Castro's properly stormed away from the field at this point. He's got about 4 seconds over second place Kale. You got King behind Kale here, right in the shot there, and then we move back. Frank Nguyen, he'll roll through the final chicane here with Ty Keela. Giovanni Blackerby heading down towards the chicane now. He'll run along in 7th. Riowan Shan, he runs along in 7th. Georgie Tripsick, Conrad Hughes. Georgie making the pass on Conrad, I believe, this previous lap or the lap prior.
Yes, and he just spun. Oh, no, commentator's curse. Georgie Tripsick is around in the Miles Rowe painted car. He's now going to lose even further because he has to slow down from cutting the chicane. But yeah, he just got a little bit unsettled through that low-speed corner and just kind of a lazy spin for him.
Yeah, that'll put him under fire from Wayne Campbell, who will get to here. He runs along on 11th in the 16 machine. He's got, I believe that's going to be an Apple car, maybe? He's kind of got the rainbow striping. Yeah, Apple Computer written on the side of that machine. That's a fun one. We move back to Michael Rosak in the 24. He's got 7-Eleven and Liquid Moly on that thing. One of those, you might have something you want to drink. The other one, I don't suggest drinking. I believe Liquid Moly is a oil company. Got Jacob Obaslak trying to recover from his early spin. Gage Baum runs along in 14th. We got Weston Wilson running in the Colton Herta-inspired livery. Dennis Hora, we saw his spin in the hairpin. He runs along in 16th in the 17. Chris Wetz still holding on to that damaged car in 17th. Jason Prigzer, William Little, Justin Wills rounding out the 20 cars still active on the course. Alejandro Uribe, Alex Miller, Luis Vazquez, and Rafael Lippi all out due to incident here tonight. And we'll move back towards the battle for the 5th spot as Giovanni Blackerby's caught in the back of Ty Keela here.
Yeah, Ty Keela again has a little bit of a nose cone damage that's definitely hindering his pace, and he's probably watching his mirrors. I am sure Giovanni Blackerby none too pleased with how that went down, as he takes some curves, really closes in on Ty Keela through the braking zone there. Ty Keela pulls a little bit away through the traction zone, runs a defensive line, kind of weaving a bit, trying to break the draft, probably a little aware of who it is that is behind him. Brief shout out here to Rui Yuan Sean. First time in the series for them. And they're just having a very quiet evening, sitting in 7th, no real incidents. Just solid performance from them. Not to distract from the battle over 4th and battle for 5th. Frank DeWin has largely checked out from that confrontation. Pulled out a 5-second gap on Ty Keela, did Frisky Frankie.
Yeah, we were able to catch the tail end of Georgie Tripsett, making it back by Matthew Stables. That'll move Tripsett up to 9th. Stables under fire from Wayne Campbell now for the 10th spot. So that battle heats up as well.
Ty Keela nearly spun in the hairpin. Giovanni Blackerby is pulled alongside Jacob.
Yeah, we're back up to that battle now. They head towards Spoon.
Blackerby on the outside, hops over the curb, gets a little unsettled. Ty Keela launches up the inside. They both run wide, getting an incident point there. Blackerby looks to try and get a run on the inside, has to back out of it to avoid running into the back of Ty Keela. And here they are going down the long back straightaway into the Firestone 130R.
And here they come. Left-hander through the 130R, flat foot into the chicane. We saw Blackerby be brave on the brakes last time by. He's going to be a bit more conservative this time around. We'll see the run down towards turn number 1 if Giovanni's got anything to send on Ty Keela here.
Right, as Ty Keela again runs towards the pit wall, then loops back towards the outside, cuts down towards the pit wall. He's trying to break the draft, prevent Blackerby from getting any kind of real run on him as they head down into turn number 1 and 2. That is where they had their tangle earlier. Ty Keela in the number 9 Rogue Racing machine. Blackerby in that Josef Newgarden paint number 7. Blackerby really sends it in there a little deep there in that corner. Seems to have the pace. Perhaps that scuffed paint really is affecting Ty Keela. Doesn't look like much in the way of damage. It's barely noticeable. It's just like a little pinch of the bare carbon on the tip of the nose, but it apparently really is affecting the pace as Frank DeWin has gapped them, and obviously Blackerby caught right back up. Currently working lap 10 of 12, 2 laps to go. Andre Castro still your leader, well out in front of Jake King, who has pulled, Aiden Kale, who has pulled over a 1-second gap to Jake King. Giovanni Blackerby is on the inside there. They're running real tight once again into the Spoon curve. Blackerby keeps it on the track this time. Oh, they touch again! They touch again! This time it's Ty Keela that's around!
Those cars ended up stuck together due to netcode contact, it looks like. They're having to get the cars moving here as Keela wound up parked off the front of Blackerby.
And Rui Juan Shan has come through, move them up to the 5th spot.
Oh, and Blackerby's
car is heavily damaged.
Blackerby gets the worst of it again.
Yeah, that is not the night that he is looking forward to. And I'm gonna check my entries here. Meatball flag for him, but I'm also curious with the amount of contact that's happened, possibly over the incident limit, as he blows the chicane, unable to slow the car down, unable to really turn it. Just don't even know that he's going to make pit entry now because he's got to let all those cars through, try and get the car turned in to make it to pit lane. He thankfully does, but that is not a healthy machine right now.
Yeah, Blackerby makes it to the pit lane, but give a shout out to Ryowan Shan. He stays out of trouble. He inherits a top 5 spot with just a couple laps to go here at Suzuka. And Ty Keela's going to wind up under fire from the 22 machine of Conrad Hughes.
Yes, Ty Keela's car is definitely hurting after that contact too. Possibly some side damage. I still see the side pods on the machine. So he definitely didn't get the worst of it, but definitely not an ideal situation for him. We are approaching 1 lap to go. Andre Castro now currently passing through 180. Sorry, I keep calling it 180R. It's 130R. As he takes that flat left-hander. And will soon be streaking under the white flag here at Suzuka. A picture-perfect drive for him. His main competition in Rafael Lippi had misfortune at turn 1. And no one else had anything for him, Jacob.
No, we're going to keep an eye on that battle for second as Jake King has made a little bit of inroads on Aiden Kale for that second spot. They'll head down towards turn number 1. Kale ultimately has 7 seconds of push to pass. King has none, so that's likely what that battle may turn into should it come to blows down that back straightaway here. But we're staying with Andre Castro, giving him his due as he leads the field some 6 seconds ahead of Aiden Kale in second. He'll be looking to tick off another win here in the Indy NXT Road Series. Another track for him, making a strong statement here once again. Of course, he holds a black belt, the pro license here in the Formula class on iRacing. I believe he takes part in one of the various F4 championships on the service. That might be the proper FIA F4 Esports championship that you got to qualify through the iRacing official series for. But he's showing us why he's earned that belt, putting it down handedly here from Suzuka as he works his way towards Spoon Curb.
Yes, and Aiden Kale has pulled out half a second on Jake King. So if it does come down to the push to pass battle, King obviously has none. It's pretty much Aiden Kale's second place to lose at this point, as they now head down the back straight, having navigated Spoon Curve.
And here comes Andre Castro through 130R. He'll navigate the final chicane for the final time here from Suzuka to take home that win. Getting a little bit of curb for good measure. Work his way off the final corner. We'll hop back to that battle for second. Should it come to blows here, they'll head off the final chicane. Kale holds onto it a little over half a second to Jake King. And we'll watch the rest of the field go by here from the start-finish line.
A excellent run here from Frisky Frankie. Just comes up a little short for the podium, but quiet night, taking advantage of others' misfortune. Speaking of taking advantage of others' misfortune, Ryoyan Shan coming around the chicane now, heading through that final traction zone. They will benefit from all of the contact between Giovanni Blackerby and Ty Keela. Ty Keela now coming through to take a battle-scarred P6. Jacob Oberslag comes through for 8th after Conrad Hughes in 7th. Georgie Tripsick in 9th. Matthew Stables is in 10th. Wayne Campbell 11th. Weston Wilson in 12th. Gage Baum comes home in 3rd. Chris Wetz, after the opening lap misfortune, comes home 14th. And the rest of the finishing order here, after Chris Wetz, is Jason Pritzker comes home in 15th. William Little, 16th. Michael Rosak, 17th. And of course, then the retirements with Giovanni Blackerby after the contact with Ty Keela. Dennis Hora having some misfortune as well, coming home in 19th. Justin Wills comes home 20th. Alejandro Uribe comes home in 21st. Alex Miller, after the contact with Giovanni Blackaby in 130R, comes home in 22nd. Luis Vasquez comes home in 23rd after the opening lap incident. And then the big loser of the night, unfortunately, Rafael Lippi had that disastrous turn 1, unable to recover the car, and comes home in 24th.
Yeah, he managed to chime in the chat just a little while ago and mentioned it was a netcode incident for him that ultimately set him down and back, and we caught that fairly early on, but tough break for what would have been a very competitive car for the Alexandre Castro at the front. We'll run backwards through the finishing lineup here. You can find your favorite driver here that competed. There's the 11th through 20th, and then the top 10 here from Suzuka. Andre Castro, nearly a 7-second gap to Aiden Cale in P2. We'll see if we can get some drivers in here in the interview room. I see Jake King ready to go, so we'll get him on up here shortly. So we're watching driver go off in the sand trap there, maybe looking to have a better race the next time they get out. Not sure who that was, but we will.
Perhaps they're looking for some of the shattered carbon that is now littering the beautiful Suzuka circuit.
Yeah, we'll try to hunt down Jake King's automobile and get him on up here shortly. There's Mr. King. We'll get him on up here shortly. I believe this is the first time we've had him on the channel. Jake King, Jacob Collins, Sophie Connell, P1 Broadcasting. You got us?
Yep, got you guys loud and clear.
Well, Jake, I think this is the first time we've caught you on the channel, but I've certainly seen you make the rounds through the Formula ranks here on the iRacing service. Talk us through your race here in a very interesting, tricky track here in Suzuka in these IL-15s.
Yeah, it was my first time doing this combo. I'm not gonna lie, I did the fixed race 2 hours ago, but first time doing this combo, and it was tricky. I wasn't expecting it to be as slippery as it was. It was kind of a hectic start to the race. I'm not sure if it was from netcode in turn 1, but there was a little bit of unfortunate contact that got me up into P2 and battling Aiden. I mean, that guy was really, really quick. But this combo was a blast.
Yeah, it certainly lets it show off kind of the extra horsepower that this machine has when you kind of have that run off a spoon curve towards 130R, and also kind of shows how this car is very distinct and how you got to get it slowed down. Very tricky to get through the corners here. Not the strongest thing in terms of the aerodynamics, but stuff there nonetheless. Kind of walk us through, if this is maybe one of your first couple trips out in this Indy NXT machine, kind of what you've learned here from Suzuka to get this thing around as quickly as you did tonight.
Throttle management is super key in these things. I mean, if you goose it the wrong way going through the S's, you might as well kiss your chances of catching the guy ahead goodbye. That's the biggest thing, throttle management. I like that these things have low aero. It makes them super racy. The dirty air isn't as terrible as some other wing cars on the surface. So, yeah, just throttle management and saving your rear tires for the end. And unfortunately, I blew my push to pass way too early, just trying to keep up with Peyton. So that would have helped out a lot towards the end. So I kind of wish I didn't do that. So lessons learned.
Yeah, a lot to keep track of in the car, but always important to learn as much as you can each and every time you get out on the track. Sophie, you got anything for Jake tonight?
Well, Jacob, how difficult was it to ultimately defend from Aiden, given how, I mean, that move by Aiden, that was a power move. Was there anything you were thinking you could do to possibly try and hold on even longer, or you just gave it all you had?
Yeah, really, I gave it all I had. Like I said, I burned my push to pass way too early, just trying to keep up with him. He was rapid. There was no catching Andre, so I wanted to battle him, but unfortunately, it just wasn't there. I think we were using push to pass around the same time around the track, and we both ran out towards the end, or else I would have been able to catch him on that back straight. Yeah, side by side through 130R was pretty hairy. I was kind of hoping he'd go a little deep in the brakes, but he held on to it. He's a good driver.
Well, certainly quite the battle to watch throughout tonight's event. Good to see you get a solid finish here tonight, Jake. We'll hopefully catch you out for many more of these races in the future. You know the drill. Friends, family, sponsors, anybody you'd like to shout out, floor is yours.
shout out my brother Max. I saw he was in the chat earlier. I'm a Formula Ford racer on the East Coast, so shout out to my sponsors, Triple T Cutting Tools, DCM Architecture and Engineering, and Grand Prix Legends, the mod team. Those guys are helping out. So just want to give a shout out to those guys.
Well, we'll certainly thank you for joining us, and we'll hopefully catch you throughout the rest of this season, as we'll believe next week we'll head on to the likes of Portimao in Portugal next week.
Thanks for hosting, guys. Appreciate it.
That'll do it for third place finisher Jake King. We'll thank him once again for joining us. Don't believe we're going to get anybody else on up here tonight. I know Andre's a busy man, but we'll give Andre and Aiden Kale their due. Aiden, of course, put on that power move on the outside through 130R to get past Jake King, kind of in the middle stages of this race. We'll watch him run on down towards turn number 1. That's a slickly colored IL-15, that number 8. Kind of the purple, orange, and beige, kind of a tan he's got going on that thing. It's a very nice scheme he's got going on there. And we'll watch him quickly head on down towards turn number 1 here. There he goes. And then we'll show off the somewhat iconic now Guinness livery that's sported on Andre Castro's IL-15. He started on the pole, led every lap in dominant fashion, as he has tended to do in a number of situations we've caught him in the past, or he certainly showed why he's got that black belt formula license, as he's done many a charge through the field, facing that adversity, showing that he's got the makings of a proper talent here on the iRacing surface. And Sophie, we had ourselves quite the battle throughout the field, even with all the chaos we had throughout the going. A number of new names, new faces, capitalizing on some tough goings for other drivers, but nonetheless a great race here in Indy NXT competition.
Yes, Jacob, I couldn't think of a better race to watch tonight, given that incredible pass by Aiden Kale around the outside of 130R, hanged it tough, and then ultimately got the move done into the braking zone at the chicane on Josh King. And then, of course, just the absolute incredible performance from Andre Castro. Lights to flag, just absolute domination. No one within the same zip code as him. And of course, a bunch of drivers sneaking through that chaos to secure themselves an excellent finish for themselves. All in all, great race, Jacob. Can't wait to be back next week at Portimao.
Yeah, but we're not done yet this week, even for the Indy NXT machines. Tomorrow night will be the triple header on P1. We've got the INDYCAR Oval Series taking on the Tricky Triangle in Pocono. That'll take place 8:15 Eastern Time tomorrow. Gary Godso on the call for that. Myself and Sophie will be back tomorrow night as the Indy NXT Oval Series takes on Oswego Speedway, the Steel Palace in Oswego, New York. That'll be a event to witness. 80 laps on tap, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow, alongside Mark Murphy's call of the Area 51 IndyCar League, the oldest continuously operated IndyCar League on the iRacing service. They're taking on Iowa at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Me and Sophie will be back Wednesday night for the Formula Super Series from Hockenheim. Those of you that wanted Talladega will unfortunately not get your wish. 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time for that one, alongside the Horizon IndyCar Series. Mark Murphy will be on the call for that from Chicagoland at 8. Then you've got Thursday night Grand National Series action for the AMA from Rockingham. Mark Murphy, 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time. And then the Gary Godso special. Mark starts his vacation. Gary steps up to bring you the action for the AMA Truck Series from Rockingham, 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time. And that'll bring us back to the Monday night action here on P1, which will feature us in the Indy NXT Road Series from Portimao. We'll thank Whiplash Simcams for providing cameras for tonight's event. And we want to thank all those that do the difficult jobs all around the world that make it possible to bring you the great things that we do, like IL-15 Indy NXT action here on P1 Broadcasting. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We will catch you next time wherever we find you on the track here on P1. Have a good night, everybody.